West Tech Assemblage, why are you here? It's not the speaker, it's not the government, it's not the VTWA, it's you. You're the people who I think is the assemblage, and an assembly of people who makes a difference. It's to create a culture where we are all one, regardless of which organization we represent, which sector we come from, whether it's non-for-profit, academia, researcher, investor. They all come together once a year. And that's the spirit of West Australia or Australia, mateship culture. And West Tech Assemblage brings people with like-minded people to help each other out and drive the culture of collaboration, because it's a small community. We all know each other, we all connected with each other.
So this event tonight is all about bringing together those great minds, and hopefully tonight you'll form those connections and enable you to develop those relationships and create those business opportunities that will provide work and employment for West Australians.
When you in this room prosper, when you in this room grow, you ultimately end up creating jobs, and that's not just good for government, that is exactly what our nation needs.
And when we work together, that's when the innovation magic starts to happen. But over the years, what has happened is that event has taken its own sort of unique core value, which is diversity and inclusion.
I believe that a society like ours, a wealthy, privileged society, should leave no one behind. It's our responsibility to make sure that we bring everybody along on this journey.
And a way to meet the emerging challenge of developing an economy of the 21st century, I would contend, is to grow our skills base, and particularly around the STEM skills that we have to teach our next generation, as well as through engaging and enabling the whole of our community and the whole of the potential workforce, regardless of gender, age, background, or personal identity choices.
As more essential services move to a digital-first model, the need to improve digital literacy and skills is growing, particularly for groups including older Australians, people on low incomes, people with disabilities, and Indigenous Australians.
Now, for those of you in the audience who are curious about what tonight might be, it's very much that conversation of how we can use technology to address those issues of inclusion and exclusion that make such a fundamental difference to the lives of people. But you cannot leave people behind in a civil society. That's what we're about.
At Generation 1, we believe that everybody has the opportunity and deserves the opportunity to reach their full potential. But for reasons we know, this doesn't always happen. Tonight, our focus is firmly on digital literacy and the digital divide. But I'd like to pass my congratulations to the West Tech Assemblage crew for putting this digital divide front and centre for this year's theme.
That by not catering to the digital literacy needs of the community, we are leaving them behind. A community that is already disadvantaged because of the tyranny of distance from large city centres.
These conversations are really important, not just because they impact your organisation or you, but because they reflect the leadership that you as individuals have in advancing Western Australia's community, whether economically, socially, or indeed culturally. The equitable inclusion of people with disability in all aspects of business and community is imperative, particularly for the post-COVID economic and social recovery in Western Australia.
Sometimes people and the companies are more focused on the things that people with disabilities can't do instead of the things that we definitely can do. And the fact is, we can do a lot of things.
So let's build our awareness and turn this into a deeper understanding to build a better community through greater access and inclusion, and particularly inclusive jobs. Thanks, everyone.
Innovation particularly, and ICT, I think have an enormous contribution to make to this challenge of inclusion. And it's a challenge that is faced by people with disability. It's a challenge that is faced by cultural difference. It's a challenge faced by seniors who we tend to typecast as being vulnerable, but who want nothing else more in the world than be able to exercise choice. And that's what so many people are looking for. But you cannot leave people behind in a civil society. That's what we're about.
But we are so fortunate where we are. We're so privileged that it is just wrong. It's immoral for us to leave anybody behind. This is our moment to make sure that we include everybody in this journey. Otherwise, we're going to have a fractured society, and that's absolutely unacceptable for all of us.
During COVID, that access to services, what we really saw is that there was a lot of just an increase in cyber attacks, particularly when we saw the pivot to work from home. And so if we're thinking about the members of our community and the fact that they do need to access these important services, how do we keep them safe?
So thank you for coming in today. It's a very important day for our state and the community and people here for digital inclusion. Many of you know about it, but you'll learn more today.
Thank you, Nilesh, like I said, for a very kind introduction. And I'd also like to thank you and the West Tech Assemblage for hosting today's event. It does give me great pleasure to be here today representing the Minister for Innovation and Digital Economy as his Parliamentary Secretary, and that is to launch the Governor's Digital Inclusion in WA Blueprint. The Blueprint is a key deliverable under the digital strategy for the Western Australian Government 2021 to 2025, which lays out our government's vision for improving digital inclusion in Western Australia. We want to ensure that all Western Australians can easily access and use digital technologies, with that aim being at the heart of our blueprint.
So key message here is the collaboration, right? That we cannot do it alone. Government, we always good at saying government needs to do this, government needs to do that, but they can't do it alone. We need the sector support, we need the partnerships. They have the right intention, they have the funding, they want to support, but it's the people on the ground and the academia, universities, non-for-profit sectors, advocates like you in the room make this happen. And this blueprint kind of creates the pathway for us. So I'm glad that government decided to collaborate with us. Thank you.
The Cook Government's been a proud supporter and sponsor of what the West Tech Assemblage has been trying to achieve, making technology and innovation something that people can relate to. Many people in this room who would know what exclusion means, that sense of not being able to participate, that sense of disconnection, that sense of being made to feel different, to be not part of something. And it can be a consequence of many things. It can certainly be a consequence of disability. Seniors, cultural exclusion, people who come from overseas.
Regional technology. Basically, if you don't have any technology, if you don't have any power. And my goal is to use my experiences to help those struggling inside of the justice system. Some things I'd like to see changed is the lack of education material. Having a limited internet access solely for educational purposes would benefit the detainees a lot.
It's our role is to get out behind the desk and go and actually meet with people and find out what those issues are and then help them to connect.
Digital inclusion is a basic need for participation in modern society.
I think local government's best place, we're the level of government we talk about that's closest to the people.
When you can't connect to the internet or you can't connect to that system, those things fail.
The secret of happiness is to be in the business of helping other people.
In Spirit Country, everything is united, everything is together, there is no separation.